So our next question, what steps did you take to prepare for your summers before you had internships? What advice do you have for other students who are trying to figure out how to spend their time this summer if they don't have an internship? Some examples of this could be like meetings with faculty, projects, informational interviews with alumni, recruiters, things like that. What do you recommend for our students that are wondering?
Steps to prepare before I had my internships. So I say that probably the most important part is probably the social aspect. So, just going out, having fun, enjoying yourself, but also, building up that social skills. Because in cybersecurity, usually the first barrier for interviews is usually getting past the technical interview. And then the second part would be the social aspect. So, some people forget about that second part, but cybersecurity is really big, and not only just knowing how to use the tools, but also networking and just socializing with other professionals as well. So I would probably, spend your time relaxing, but also, meeting with other people, practicing your social skills. If possible, interview workshops and then like resume building places are also great. So I think the best way to improve your interviews is to just continuously do interviews themselves. So that can be practicing with another friend, going to like different job fairs and just going up to the people and talking with them as well. Um, but just any way to, build that sort of skill as well as thinking on the spot, because you're going to get hit with a lot of curve questions sometimes with interviews. So being able to think on your feet is just a very valuable thing to have as well. Um, but yeah, apart from that, just what I mentioned before, just my own personal projects. Just do something that's not only you enjoy, but also can be put on your resume. So that's probably another big thing. So with me, it would be the home server. With other people, it can be like doing their own kind of building their own computer or working with different IT devices. And yeah, also just, just working in any job really too. Just learning how to work in a professional develop environment. It doesn't even have to be in the same field. Just being able to work with other people just shows that you're a better qualified candidate when you're going into interviews for the next summer as well.
I definitely would have to agree with Ryan and just kind of add on that, like any experience is really good experience. So there's a ton of clubs on campus that you guys can join if you want to work on a project. If you like don't know like what kind of personal project you should work on. I know that like for me, that I did XR Club for a little bit, and it helped me with companies that wanted someone to do stuff about VR. You can also do like a club that does like web development, just like any experience or any projects is really good for your resume because they won't ask you about that. And it shows that you know how to work in like a collaborative team and like you have the technical skills for it. And then in terms of like the actual technical preparation for your interviews, I would say you'd probably need to leak code a little bit. Don't try to leak code like all day long, but if you're like going for like the big tech companies, I would say leak code's like your best way to go. But yeah, it's just a lot of building up your skills, like things that you probably wouldn't learn in your classes that you could put on your resume. Just getting any experience, whether it's research with a faculty or doing a project with an organization on campus, whatever you can, just like build up your resume and have something that you can talk about. And also, I think working with faculty is a really great thing to do when you don't have an internship, because a lot of times faculty know people in industry and they can network with other people to try to get you an internship. So networking, I would say, is also like a pretty big thing. Take opportunities of any job fairs that you see. But yeah.
Awesome. Thank you both. I want to highlight what Ryan said about how even if you're not working in industry, gaining professional experience anywhere is going to be helpful to you to build those transferable skills like communication and teamwork and things like that. And I also want to highlight that networking is super important. I always push that with my students, and it's really, really important to be talking to people all the time about things that you're interested in. You never know who someone might know. So our next question, in particular, many students choose to engage in projects throughout the summer if they don't have an internship, but sometimes it can feel a bit intimidating to get started on those. What advice do you have for someone who wants to start their own project?
I guess advice for starting with projects would just first plan it. Don't go in blind hoping that everything works out. So actually come up with a plan on how you're going to like carry out the project. Find out what you need. Try to put like a date for when you want to start it as well. So you actually have like a deadline to, do the project and not just keep pushing it back. Also there's plenty of, coding projects or just like the home server builds. There's like plenty of information online of people who did their own builds. So what you can just simply do is just emulate what they did basically with your own project, but just, do a little twist or add a bit of addition to it yourself. And then I guess with all that information and resources, I guess the second important thing is just to do it, just send it. Because a lot of people have like that, nervousness of like, it's not going to go well, or like I might have some issues and then some things might not work out. And, just do it, you know, once you get into the groove and once you actually push past that initial stage, everything starts to, fall into place. And then, there's plenty of forums, YouTube videos, and just like people who have worked with it. So like I know in ASIS, there's some people who have experience with servers, so you can just ask them, or if those people aren't available, you can simply just ask faculty as well. A lot of people are just open to share their own experience as well, and just, make sure that you don't make the same mistakes of your own project. So I guess it would just be planning and then just doing it.
There's definitely a lot of open source projects that you can look for, and then you can try to like replicate the project or try to make it better for your own, like whatever you want to do. And like I said before, there's like a lot of organizations on campus that do a lot of really cool projects. There's like a Rocket Club, XR Club, and sometimes they do run in the summer. They'll just like work on things together because there's like a ton of people in the club who don't have internships as well. So I would say just find people that you can work on a personal project with. So I definitely think it will show that you can work in a team and do like all the technical aspects, and it will really build up your resume. You can also just like talk to faculty about like ideas that you can do for a personal project, and you can even do like you can get credit for it too over the summer, like for like undergrad research or like internship for credit or something like that. Just working on a personal project that's like under the supervision of a faculty member. But yeah, I would say working on a project with other people would probably be most ideal if you're like nervous to try to come up with a personal project, or you just like don't have any ideas.
Great, thank you both for sharing. Yeah, I definitely think projects can be overwhelming sometimes, and so breaking them down into those pieces is really helpful. And then, as you just said, working with someone else on a project is also totally okay as well. So how did you guys highlight your experiences on your resume that weren't traditional internship experiences? What kinds of things did you emphasize?
So for me, I guess non-traditional stuff would that be like projects, like that kind of stuff, like how to put them on a resume?
Yeah, like what kind of things did you emphasize when you were talking about the different projects you did, and just how you spent your summer that wasn't like a traditional internship?
Okay, yeah. So I guess it's pretty simple. I just made a section titled project and just put my project there with a description about it. But also the skills that I learned from the project itself. I had a skills section, so I started dotting them with all the skills I learned from the project itself. So it'll be like Bash, Linux slash Unix, server building, server management, working with different types of, containers or OSs. So like WireGuard, TrueNAS, that kind of stuff. So usually, um, once you start a project, you also want to start exploring as well. So, just be a little bit experimental and just try out new things as well. Deviate a bit because you'll probably find some additional skills that you wouldn't have found if you just stayed on like just a YouTube video. So yeah, just explore, find those skills and then put them on a resume, put on a project section on a resume as well. And yeah.
So I first put like my education and then I put relevant coursework that I took, especially if you're taking upper level coursework already. I would definitely highlight those in your education section. I put like my research experience as well. And then I put like another section for like extracurriculars and like slash personal projects. So like any accomplishments that I did. I would try to steer. For me personally, I didn't put like learned how to. I put mainly like collaborated with a team or something like that using Unity. And I didn't know anything too much about Unity at the time, but I I kind of phrased it that way. If you had done any workshops, participated in any workshops or hackathons, and you work on a project there, I would definitely highlight that too on your resume, because it shows that you're gaining the skills you need for whatever job you're applying to.
Our next question is kind of in the similar vein. So how did you talk about your summer experiences when you were interviewing with recruiters and companies for internships later on?
Talking with summer experience with interviewers. When I was doing an interview for my current position, I just kind of threw everything at them because in that interview, it was not the technical portion, but more so on the second part, the social one. You kind of just want to try to establish some sort of connection with the interviewer. So I know for a previous interview, I talked about motorcycles and then they started talking about how one of their coworkers have motorcycles. So then you just want to keep pushing that and just try to build that connection as well. Because when you do that kind of stuff where you try to build relationships with the interviewers themselves, I believe it makes you more memorable in their eyes because you're not just another person who has, these technical skills. Because a lot of people can just learn this technical skills, but it's also showing off your personality to them as well. So I would say just just experiment, try to prod the interviewers, try to see if they're like if they're more technical, try to talk about like projects you've done, or if they're most social, talk about things you've done, like going up different places, or maybe like talking about stuff that you're interested in and maybe they may be interested as well, and just developing that conversation as the interview goes.
Yeah, I would definitely add to that. Yeah, like talking about what your interests are, even if you haven't done anything with it. Like if you're interested in doing AI and that's what your company mainly does, that you're applying for, I would talk about like how much you're interested in learning about AI and like the skills that you've gained that will help you with the job. So it's like if you already know Python, then even though you don't know like AI basics, you can say like it's very applicable to that field. I would also just not say like straight up just say you didn't have an internship last summer. I would say like even though I didn't have one, there are like certain skills and projects that I've worked on. And I think that will make you stand out a lot.
I think I have. Awesome, great. Thanks for sharing. I think, yeah, establishing kind of a relationship with the person that's interviewing you is super important. And then also, yeah, highlighting your strengths as you're going rather than just saying, I didn't have an internship last summer. but you did spend your time doing things that are worth mentioning. So making sure you're highlighting those as well. Is there anything that you wish you had done differently in terms of how you spent your summer? What advice would you have given to yourself as you entered that summer?
I would say probably the biggest thing would just not be too, down or like depressed, that kind of stuff that you didn't get an internship. Cause I think it's just another opportunity to like gain more experience another way. So, you know, I don't really regret much what I did over the summer. I like to keep myself busy, so that's why I did all these things over the summer. I didn't want to sit idly, so I kept myself busy with personal projects and also just going out having fun with friends as well. So just, you know, uh just finding opportunities, socially or professionally, just doing anything you can so that once you come out of that summer, you're better prepared for the next round of interviews for the next summer, as well as feeling more fulfilled that you actually, you know, didn't waste too much time over summer as well.
I definitely regret not taking all the opportunities that I could, just in terms of like just being very intimidated with the whole application process and like contacting faculty on campus. Um, so that's how I had a good time, great time, learned a lot at the engineering school as a research assistant. But I think that I could have worked with someone who was more related to my field in CS. And so I was very intimidated to just email these professors, and just kind of turns out like most of these people are just very nice and they love having undergrads work with them, whether it's like you want to go to grad school or not. It's just like you're gaining experience and learning something. But yeah, I think I also kind of wish I had networked more too over the summer. So I would say networking is just like a really big thing wherever you go.
Awesome. Thank you both. Last question. Do you have any other advice that you have to share?
I would just say, also just, just do the skills, start projects, but, just have fun as well over the summer. Um, Once you get into work, you're not going to have as much time, having fun with friends or going out to parties. So, just take advantage of the free summer, but also just, do some personal projects, work on some skills, try to find out and study more about your field that you're interested in, and just see if you can, build those skills so that next time for the interviews that you're more ready and prepared for it. But yeah, just have fun.
Ryan, so it's like don't beat yourself up if you don't have an internship this summer. Especially if you're like freshman and sophomore, like most people don't get an internship at that point. Um, I know that a lot of people compare themselves to others on LinkedIn and stuff. Try not to do that. I think that would just kind of get you down a little bit more. Try to have fun during your summer while also working on your skills and personal projects. And don't be afraid to take opportunities wherever you find them. Try to take every opportunity that you can at this stage. But again, like just don't beat yourself up if you don't have an internship over the summer, and just to try your best. That's really all you can ask for.
All right, great. Thank you all. So I'm putting the sign in the chat one last time, but now I'm going to open the floor up to questions from anyone who's here. So to kick us off, there's one in the chat. Where can I find particular clubs, workshops, part-time jobs, etc., available over the summer to add to my resume and prepare for a tech internship?
So I can go ahead and jump in there. Hi, folks. I'm Rebecca Ryan, she, her pronouns. I'm the program director for the UCC at CMNS. So I specifically work with CMNS majors. In terms of places to find opportunities, I think one thing that's important to keep an eye on, especially if you're thinking about maybe doing something on campus, is to check out the Maryland Center for Undergraduate Research. So that's mcur.umd.edu. This, if you go to the current students tab, is going to give you a lot of opportunities to be able to identify labs that may be looking for support, especially the technical aspects of their research that they may need help with. You know, if you think about how many different research labs on campus probably have a need for help with data analytics or coding and those sorts of things, it could be a pretty high amount. And so I think trying to engage there is really great. A lot of our faculty post direct positions there. Another thing to keep in mind is that you can also look at careers for terps. So if you go to go.umd, or I'm sorry, careers.umd.edu/careers for terps. That's probably what you use to actually register for this workshop. We actually have a whole jobs tab there, and technical positions are one of the highest or most common types of positions posted on that site. I know we're also going to have some information coming from CodePath a little bit later here, so I'll let them share a little bit more about some different workshops. You can also access LinkedIn Learning. So if you are a UMD student and you're looking to do like LinkedIn Learning workshops, you can access that here. So I'm kind of trying to just share a bunch of links with you. And maybe I can let our panelists also share how they found their summer opportunities. Can you both share where you found your opportunities, just reminding students?
Also use the undergrad research database to find like a lab to work with, and I work remotely, so that was really great over summer. I didn't work for I4C over the summer, but I know that they have job openings right now. So I think the application closes in a couple of days. So they have a lot of part-time or full-time positions that are open. So I think that's like really great experience too, because a lot of times you can be like a computing instructor, and that's like enough experience, or that's just like some experience that you can get. I think I can put the flyer in the chat in case anyone wants to apply. But yeah, that's I definitely know there's like a lot of available positions for the summer.
I guess for me, it was mostly just Googling on my own and also just checking out UMD campus around, because a lot of opportunities, they have like little posters or flyers scattered around campus. So, you know, just take like a quick stop and just read it, because sometimes this might be something that may be like interesting to you. I know for me, my current job with the UMD DIT was from a tech, I think it was like some sort of tech fair or something. So I just, you know, took a stop outside the gym, scanned a QR code, went to it and applied. And it wasn't planned at all, but eventually I got the position. So, you know, just trying out these new things and just stepping out of your comfort zone, you might be able to get opportunities that you may have never know about. Also with that info challenge, I know information science does that, I think yearly. I think it already concluded, but I went to it last time. It was a great experience. Just meeting other people in the majors, as well as, you know, just networking with some of the information science professors and faculty. And I know they did Big Camp a while back, but I was busy that week. But I think that's also a big event. So just, you know, checking out UMD campus events and just Googling. So like hackathons, I know was mentioned previously, workshops. There's plenty of online resources. It's just that you have to, you know, do a quick Google search and you'll be able to find it.
I also think that there's some departments that show like their organization. I know CS, they have like all the organizations listed, so you can email those clubs and say, like, ask if they're doing anything over the summer, like any projects they're doing over the summer, and just get experience from that.
Amazing. Thank you both for sharing, and thanks Becca for stepping in and also sharing some resources as well. What other questions do people have? You can feel free to unmute or just type it in the chat and I can read it out loud, either one.
One thing I just want to address from the chat. So there was a question about like placing work prep or like boot camp programs on a resume, or even listing like personal projects on a resume. And I want to just normalize for everybody that it's actually really, really common for students who are pursuing tech roles to have training, coursework that they did a project for, or even personal projects in the technical experience section of their resume. So I shared some resume samples in the chat for this Zoom call a little bit earlier. And I really just want to emphasize to you that it's actually probably expected from a lot of employers when you're early on in your tech education and you're still in the process of gaining experience to highlight the skills that you've developed in whatever way that shows up. And so that could be in the form of a workshop where you maybe do some extra training, and indicate like the name of the training program, the location, the time frame you did it, and then the tasks that you engaged in throughout that experience. It frames some of these different trainings and projects that you've done as extremely professional, even if in your eyes, you might be thinking with that sense of doubt, okay, it's not an internship, how is it valuable? To employers, they're still going to get a sense of what sort of technical tasks you're able to complete as a result of that program if you frame it on your resume as a technical experience. And so if you're having a hard time with that, that's definitely something that at the Career Center, we're happy to work with you on. But I just wanted to make sure that I emphasized that because I think that that question that was asked was really great. And I know that it can feel a little bit weird, especially if you're sort of like down on yourself in this moment about the fact that it's not a paid job or it's not the job you imagined you'd have. It's still extremely valuable. And we see a lot of employers speak positively about those experiences when they're evaluating our applicants for positions in the future.
All right. If there's no questions right now, I will let our guest from CodePath present and you guys can think on questions and then we can come back to questions after she's done. So I'll pass it over to CodePath and everyone else be brainstorming what kind of questions you have either for her, for our panelists, for myself, Rebecca, any of us, we're open to answering questions.
Thank you, Olivia. Before I share my screen, I'm gonna pop a couple of things in the chat to take a look at. Okay. All right. Hi, everybody. My name is Hannah Barra, and I'm the Student Outreach Coordinator here at CodePath. And I really just want to thank the Career Center and panelists for, first of all, just like creating this opportunity, but also to you all for looking for ways to like how to productively spend your summer. I'm here to highlight an opportunity that CodePath has available for Maryland students this summer in partnership with Amazon. But first, I'm just going to give a brief introduction to CodePath for those who aren't familiar. So CodePath is a nonprofit that brings together employers, students, and universities to eliminate inequalities in tech education, as well as diversifying the field and creating pathways for underrepresented students to reach economic and generational wealth. So if you find yourself at all just curious about CodePath, the history of the organization, and some of our other offerings, I recommend checking out our website, which is codepath.org. But now to kind of shift gears and talk about this opportunity with Amazon. So CodePath is partnering with Amazon Next to offer our Intro to Software Engineering, as well as our technical interview prep course this summer. So this opportunity is actually exclusive to the DMV. So this is, although like CodePath operates nationally, this opportunity is only available to a select number of DMV universities, one of which being University of Maryland. So you'll have the opportunity to either take our Intro to Software Engineering course, which is of course, introductory CS course that really just is there to kind of serve for somebody who has little to no programming experience. And then the second course is our technical interview prep, which is something that I know came up a lot when the panelists were speaking, which is a course that will allow for you to ace any technical interview and really just gaining a preview of real world software topics, as well as preparing you to solve challenging algorithmic problems in both whiteboard and coding interviews. And with this kind of being also in partnership with Amazon, so on top of kind of taking that CodePath course and already getting the insights that are available nationally to students, with this specific opportunity with Amazon, you'll also gain real-time mentorship and insights from software engineering teams at Amazon. And with this program, you'll also have the opportunity to do 2 on-site visits at their HQ2 headquarters in Crystal City, Virginia. And also we're kind of planning out throughout the summer additional workshops that you'd be able to attend, kind of like a closing ceremony, really with just kind of having the end game being by the end of the summer, you would have already kind of gain a broader skill set through the course, but also be able to kind of be funneled into Amazon's talent pipeline for future opportunities. So this program, I do want to highlight, it's we are prioritizing rising sophomores and juniors. So especially if you're a freshman or sophomore on the call, who, as was mentioned previously, it's very difficult to secure an internship like super early on in college, is a really great opportunity to kind of hone in on your skill set early. If you are not a rising sophomore or junior, I still recommend applying for the program, just because what we'll do is when we look at applications, there are opportunities to be funneled into our normal intro to software engineering and technical interview prep courses. So you'll still gain the benefits of the courses just without that kind of Amazon next element. And the application is relatively short. It's going to take about, it shouldn't take more than 15 minutes. The deadline is May 14th. Something that I do want to highlight is that, first of all, it is a rolling deadline. So definitely recommend getting in an application earlier, especially since there's only 100 seats available for the program. And then a second element on top of the application form is that there's actually a hacker rank that you'll have to complete, which will kind of gauge where you are. So first of all, we have multiple levels for our technical interview prep course. We have an intermediate and an advanced. So as we kind of look at an application, we want to place the student accordingly. And also the exciting about the hacker rank too is that you'll be able to kind of gauge your progress throughout. So if you were invited to be in the Amazon cohort, you'd be able throughout the summer to kind of test where you're at and kind of see your skill set grow. And like I said, it's a rolling deadline. You should expect to receive final decisions around May 23rd. And one of the other things that I did share with the application link was a link to register for our info session. So we're having an info session on April 27th. And if you find yourself interested in learning more about the program, especially we'll have representatives there from Amazon. If you have more specific questions about what does this partnership look like with Amazon, definitely recommend attending. If you have any questions, you can, first of all, feel free to just hop off mute and ask me now, or you can shoot me an email. I listed my email also on the slide. Okay. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so I can see the chat if you guys have any questions.
Awesome. Thanks for sharing. I got a direct message question that says, I registered for the CodePath intro course, but I wasn't aware of the Amazon opportunity. Can I still be considered?
Oh, that's a really great question. Basically what happened was we had our applications open for the regular courses before the partnership with Amazon was announced. So there's definitely, that's a common question we've been getting. If you could direct message me, just so I can make sure that your application can get funneled into Amazon so you don't have to apply twice. Or for anybody else who has that question, you could also email admissions. I'm going to put it in the chat, admissions@codepath.org, and also shoot them a message to get funneled in to be considered for the Amazon program. Okay, I see another question. Is the Amazon course for beginners as well? Yeah, especially that intro to software engineering course is really there for those who don't have really much programming experience. So if you're kind of looking at the program and considering applying, I definitely would recommend checking off specifically for intro to software engineering. Saw a question: as someone who's transferring into CS this summer, who intends on specializing in software development, like front and back end, would I still be able to take advantage of this opportunity also for not having a ton of experience? So first, I would say that especially the intro to software engineering course would be a good fit in this situation. And also, just to kind of note on the application link, if you kind of scroll down, you'll be able to kind of see more details about the blurb for technical interview prep versus the intro to software engineering. And both of those courses, they have the same application, but the application will kind of ask you more details on like what your background is, and then it will place you accordingly.
Awesome. I think this next question might be geared more towards our panelists. So once you have an idea for a personal project, how do you decide what tools / languages to use? Is there a guide to what tools are used for what things?
I'm assuming the project has to do something with coding based on the tools and languages. So I would say probably by default, just go with Python. I feel like that a lot of jobs and just work uses Python in general. So it's the most common language, I would say. There's also R for statistics. If you're doing Linux and Unix systems, you're going to work with Bash a lot. So that's like the programming language for that operating system. But honestly, I feel like that if you're going to learn languages, the more important part is learning the logic of, just building scripts and programs. Because once you get like that understanding of how a computer would think, so like the logic that it would go through, you can pretty much apply it to different languages, and then from then on it's just learning the different tools that each language has. So I would probably say most importantly build that logic, and then Python in general is probably the one you'll use the most.
It definitely depends on the project that you're doing as well. So you can probably look online and see like what tool should I use to like build like a website for something. And I'm sure it'll come up with like Flask, Python, like certain tools that you need for it. And like you can also like look up tutorials on something that's like in the realm of your project. So like for me, with one of my labs, I am creating like a website, for example. And so I was like, okay, what tools do I need? So I just look up like that specifically, and it will show like JavaScript, Python, Flask, Socket.io, things like that. And so it will just give you like a good foundation of like how to do your project.
Great, thank you guys so much. I think this next one is back to CodePath. So is it recommended to apply to both programs, or should we choose one to go with?
Yeah, so for the application, it's actually going to be, it's the same link for both courses. So what happens is when you kind of go to click to apply on either, whether it be specifically for tip to the technical interview prep or intro to software engineering, what will happen is you'll get some preliminary questions kind of asking about your experience with coding, some courses you've taken, for instance, if you've taken data structures, and based off of that, it will then kind of reroute you for whatever is best, whether it be the technical interview prep or the intro to software engineering course.
Great, thank you. And then just to highlight what Becca said, back to that last question about choosing a language or tool, consulting with faculty or friends from your classes as well is a great opportunity here. So this is a great chance to network and show faculty that you're excited about applying what you've learned in class, outside of class. So yeah, definitely agree with that. Your faculty members and your classmates are some of your best resources while you're here, and networking with them is going to really benefit you in the future. these are going to be your future coworkers, your faculty members might know of opportunities that are available as well. And so, you know, if someone comes to them and says, do you know someone for this internship that I'm trying to hire for? They will remember you as the person that was really excited about potentially a project outside of class. And so that leaves a great impression on them. And it's just a great opportunity to kind of get connected with some more people as well. So we have time for a couple last questions. If anyone else has
There was
some.
one that someone direct message saying they're a rising junior and have a fair amount of coding experience. Do you think the program would be a good fit? Especially, I think the best way, especially given kind of what the panelists have brought up about the importance of technical interview prep, if you kind of feel going into this summer that you have some level of skills that you kind of want to shore up, I definitely would recommend, especially because on the our technical interview prep courses specifically, we have two options. It's one being an intermediate and the other one being advanced. And as I mentioned, the hacker rank that you complete will kind of place you best. So especially if you kind of feel like you have a good amount of experience, but you don't know whether or not the program still would provide benefits, I recommend kind of completing the hacker rank, and potentially you could be doing the technical interview prep on the advanced side. And then, so there was a question about GitHub. So actually, it's just for our app, we don't ask for any displaying of projects or a portfolio, but it's just a normal sign-on that you use to complete the application. So if you already have an account, you would just be signing in through GitHub as you're applying. Yeah,
Okay.
of course.
We have about 5 minutes left, so if anyone else has any other questions, that would be great. It says on the application that 4 to 10 hours of visits to the Amazon facility are mandatory. What if I end up being busy during the opportunities?
Yeah, so for the 4 to 10 hours, what it is you're going to be spending the course itself, whether you're doing the intro to software engineering or the technical interview prep courses. You're meeting twice a week. All the times are actually in the evening. So if you, for whatever reason, are like babysitting during the day or like have some sort of obligation during the day, you would still be able to take the course in the evenings. So it's 2 hours twice a week. And then also kind of that 4 to 10 hours is also giving leeway to any work that you'd be doing outside of the weekly meeting time. And then the visits to the Amazon headquarters, there are 2 of them. One is June 5th and the other one is August 19th. They are mandatory. So that's something that Amazon's asking due to the kind of like on their end of the partnership. So if you already kind of know you're going on vacation or you like have some sort of conflict, what I would recommend doing is just going on the CodePath website and instead just applying to take intro to software engineering or technical interview prep outside of Amazon, just because that is a mandatory like ask for the program. Oh, and then Amazon's facilities, it's in Crystal City, Virginia. So it's close by, like Northern Virginia.
All right, last chance to ask questions. Are the hours on the application specifically? I have a summer course that runs from 6. This seems more like a personal question, so maybe you can email potentially. Is there an email that someone could reach out to you with?
Yeah, I'm gonna just give my email. It's very easy to remember. It's hannah@codepath.org.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah, of
If
course.
you have like personal conflicts, maybe just email Hannah about that. And then where do we apply for those 2 courses themselves independently of the Amazon program?
So what I'll do is last thing to drop in the chat will be just our website. What will happen is you click on for students and then courses, and then you'll find the links to apply.
Awesome, thank you. And
Yeah,
then
of course.
a question here from Reem. So is it expected that people's LinkedIns will appear the same as their resume, or is it okay to put more activities on LinkedIn and tailor a resume to specific positions? I can answer that. It's definitely okay to include more on your LinkedIn. It's definitely, there's more room there. For a resume, you want to kind of keep that to one page, and it should be more tailored to specific positions. So I definitely encourage you to add more on your LinkedIn if you want to. And then just changing out the experiences on your resume to kind of tailor to whatever positions you're applying for. All right, we're running out of time here. So if panelists are comfortable, feel free to share your email or your LinkedIn in the chat and people can connect with you. This is my email in the chat. So if anyone comes up with any other questions they have, you can feel free to reach out and we will answer you as soon as we can. I want to give a huge thank you to our panelists and Hannah today for coming and sharing their experiences with you and the opportunity from CodePath. I hope that you all take some great information from this. And again, if you have any follow-up questions, feel free to email and reach out, and I will just hang back for a minute or two and make sure everyone is all right. But otherwise, I will let you all go about your Tuesday. I hope you all have a great rest of your week, and thank you so much for taking the time and being here today.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for coming.